It's something
Yeah.
I fight for every day. Even right now, I feel too large for comfort for my body.
Hmm.
But I realized in one, I work really hard to love myself. And if I'm not going to do it, I can get models of other people to do it, but I got to do it for myself. And then two, I'm raising little humans.
Yeah.
I have a 6-year old, almost 5-year old, and a 10-month-old. And I don't want them to see me talking negatively about my body.
Hmm.
And then they learn about their body, that their body is negative. There's enough people in the world that are going to do that, that are going to try and pick them apart. I
Yeah.
refuse to let it start at home and let it start with themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And so humanizing ourselves of we're not superheroes. I
I know.
refuse that. I rebuke it. Capes kill people. No, I'm taking it off. I retire
Capes kill
that.
people.
They do.
Yeah.
All the superheroes in the Incredibles died from capes. No, I'm not wearing them. So
Yeah.
I think that's really important to also remind our kids that they don't have to be super either.
Yeah.
So I talk about shame-free sexuality education for everyone in the ways that they can digest it, and the ways that they can accept it, and the ways that they can learn so they can have safer lives, so they can have more pleasurable lives. And I pause at pleasure because I do mean pleasure. I don't necessarily mean sexual pleasure. And
Mm,
for some reason, that word always gets put into the sex category when I mean
mm,
kids should be able to laugh out loud and not get in trouble.
yeah.
When we talk about pleasure in kids, we talk about bowel movements. And if that bowel movement hurt too much, we might need to have more vegetables,
Hmm.
right? So pleasure isn't necessarily, again, a morally good or bad word. And it's not inherently sexy and about
Right.
intercourse. It really
Right.
is a word of like, I don't think we were put on the planet to suffer through life, right? If you wouldn't want your child to enter into the relationship that you have, what are you showing them?
Hmm.
So that being said, for the first timers who are hearing these things, you have to give permission for yourself to be a full human.
Mm.
And so they can learn to be a full human. There are no such thing as like gendered toys. As long as it's not operated by genitals, then it doesn't matter the sex. And if it's operated by genitals, it's not a toy for kids. So
Right. Yeah, I
there's no
know.
reason why your kid can't like build Legos because she's a girl. There's no
Hmm.
reason why your son can't play with dolls because he's a boy.
Yeah.
And then if your son can't play with dolls and yet you're mad at your husband because he left you during that postpartum period because he never knew how to change a diaper,
Mm,
what cycle are you reinstilling for your son?
yeah. Hmm.
Right. And a lot of us, right, pissed off at our husbands. And I've seen this. I've seen people who the moms moved into the nurseries to take care of a newborn because the dad was like, well, I don't know what to do with that.
Hmm.
I'll wait till they're older.
Mm,
The exhausted parent.
yeah.
Right. It makes no sense. And the one thing that nobody can ever take away from you once you get it is knowledge.
Mm, hmm.
Once you get it, nobody can take that away from you. And what our research shows is the more knowledge that children have, specifically about sexuality things, the
Hmm.
longer they wait to actually have intercourse and the safer they are. So,
Yeah.
meaning less likely to have an STI, less likely to get pregnant, less likely to have a police charge
Hmm.
of some way, shape, or form, and less likely to commit assault.
Hmm.
So most people will say communication, but the thing that gets in the way of intimacy is vulnerability.
Mm,
So a
okay.
lot of people will tell you a truth, but it won't be the honest part of themselves. So there's a
Mm,
difference between truth and honesty. Truth is, yeah, you walked in here and you yelled at me and I didn't like it.
mm,
Honest is, you walked in here, you yelled at me, and I was so scared I was going to lose you in that moment because I thought you were abandoning me.
mm,
Right? It's that vulnerability piece that it's not always safe to share.
mm.
Are you going to make fun of me? Are you going to criticize me? Are you going to act like you're morally better than me? Are you going to completely shut down on me? That doesn't make a safe person. That doesn't make intimacy easy
Mhm.
because that vulnerability now has told me I can't share that with you. I'm going to hold that for myself. I'm going to hold that for my girlfriends,
Mhm.
but I can't share it with you.
Mm.
And now, of course, I don't want to be physical with you. And we also have to learn how to fight. A lot of people fight below the belt.
Yeah.
And I tell people you can fight in front of your kids all day as long as you don't fight below the belt, right?
Yeah.
There's no name calling, there's no picking a person apart, right? You're not being violent with one another, but you can disagree all day and half the night, and you can do that in front of your children. and they will still see that you love each other and you care for each other, and you can have disagreements with people you love and care for.
Yeah.
And that's
It,
okay, as
yeah.
long as you are fighting fair.
Yeah. I know that he, in his role, has his pressures and obligations and overwhelm. I think what it is, so for me, and I know I'm not alone in this, but like all of mine are home, right? Like all of my overwhelm and my pressure is home, not just because of our home and our children, but because my work is at home. And so
Mhm,
it's like when I think of it that way now, it's like he's always entering what has very much become our world in our house. What has very much become my world. Our house is like my world, really.
mhm,
All of his overwhelm is like when he walks out of the house.
mhm. Yep.
Hmm.
So the question is where's your reprieve?
I don't know. It's
Yeah.
it's it's the acknowledgement that I deeply crave. And so it's like
Mhm,
I always say I say to my husband, I'm like, I know I'm gonna carry all these things, right? That we as part of our life. I will carry them so much more happily if just on a regular basis there's a, hey, I see you carrying that. You're doing a good job carrying that.
mhm.
Like because and that's not for everybody, right? But that's
Yeah.
me. And it's like I am managing a lot, and it's really just wanting someone to see it,
Mhm.
you know?
Right, it's, "Do you see me?" And so that goes into that vulnerability piece. I'm super proud of you for being able to say to your lover, "I need you to see me,"
Mhm.
and to acknowledge, like, the labor that I am doing on a regular basis. Because some people would go without. There's a level of settling for unhappiness,
Mhm.
right? So it's like, "I'm gonna be unhappy, but I can tolerate this level." So there's a
Mhm.
contentment of unhappiness. And you're like, "No, I need this from you."
Mhm.